Happy New Year's, guys. Michael Saylor is starting the year off with a Bitcoin purchase. Strategy has acquired 1,287 Bitcoin, increasing their Bitcoin reserves to 673,783 Bitcoin. And not only that, but they increased their USD reserve by 62 million, now holding 2.25 billion. A nice safety net if things hit the fan. And it's been quite an interesting week. Bitcoin's been rising. The Bitcoin miners have been seeing a nice little recovery here, and we have a massive amount of liquidations in the last 24 hours, mostly those on the short side. Bitcoin in the last 24 hours has seen shorts liquidated to the tune of 104 million, $12 million worth of longs liquidated. I don't know why this keeps flashing, sorry. With a total liquidation of 117 million. And we started this not only month, but year off, the new year, off with some massive inflows from the spot ETFs. Largest inflow in 3 months actually with BlackRock. On Friday, BlackRock's IBIT saw $287 million in inflows, or its largest daily inflow since October 8 of 2025, right before we were heading to the top, our Q4 top for Bitcoin. Now, is this just rebalancing because of the new year? Does this have to do with the regime change in Venezuela? Maybe it's a combination of the two. Looking at the US spot ETFs as a whole, we saw $471 million in total inflows on Friday, which is the highest combined total since mid-November, offsetting recent outflows and bringing weekly net inflows to 459 million. As said here by Pratik Kala, head of research of Apollo Crypto. Start of year portfolio rebalancing is likely a factor. Bitcoin underperformed other assets in Q4, thanks to the very end. Keep in mind it hit a new all-time high in Q4 2025, lining up perfectly with the 4-year cycle, but I digress. As a result of underperforming in Q4 2025 at the end, it drifted below its target weight, thus starting a rebalance. Tax loss harvesting in Q4 flipped to maintaining the long bias in Q1 of 2026. And this person also emphasized that Maduro's capture by force solidifies the use case for Bitcoin, a non-censorable, decentralized store of value, which is increasingly needed in a polarizing world with a rapidly changing world order. Here's another sign that we're still earlier than the general masses. Pump and dump gets 3 likes. A pretty well thought out comment gets 4 dislikes. Now looking at Bitcoin, it's almost like the market was watching what we were watching, this descending trend line. Once we broke it, you saw pretty much nothing but green since we broke this descending trend that started at Bitcoin's top in October at 126,000 and brought us all the way down to 80,000, finding it as resistance multiple times along the way. Very clear pattern, and the market did get a reaction to it. Now it's a matter of us breaking these recent highs and then coming for that 50 MA on the weekly, sitting at about 101,500 currently. This is one thing I'm waiting to see. A relief rally to the 50 MA, then it's up to the market to either break over it for the first time in any typical crypto winter, or find it as resistance as we have always done, going back to the last cycle and the one before. This is your chance to trim into strength. If we do come up to this 50 MA to test, I would personally trim a little bit, shore up some cash if you don't have any cash freed up. I do think that is the best move. But look at what we have done. I've showed you guys this plenty of times. I sound like a broken record at times, but here you go. Once you break under the 50 MA on the weekly, we come up, find it as resistance, never break back over it. We're talking about this last cycle and the cycle before. Once you break under, find it as resistance, we continue out our crypto winter. This is weekly candles. Each candle represents a week. Fingers crossed that we can break over the 50 MA this time. I do think it's a good time to take some profits if we approach it, because in the end, it's up to the market to either break over it or break under. We can't predict what the market will do, but we can predict levels that the market may test. And I do think the market will test this 101,005 roughly, sitting at the 50 MA. It is nice to finally see the 50 MA on the daily starting to level out here. It's been basically pointing down ever since we hit our top back in October, and it has been pointing down ever since. Finally, because of this kind of turnaround that we got, we are starting to see the 50 MA curl upwards, which is a good sign. But how are you guys feeling this week? How are you feeling in the new year? Do you think 2026 will overall be a down year like we have seen if you base it around Bitcoin's 4-year cycle? Some people are saying the 4-year cycle is broken, but the reality is we did get our top in Q4 of 2025, which lines up perfectly with past cycles. And I am personally expecting a down year for Bitcoin in 2026, a great time to accumulate. Who knows what we really get in the end? That's just my thoughts, my expectations. Keep an eye out for the Bitcoin mining updates. They'll be coming out anytime now. We also have earnings approaching. Q4 isn't going to look good for them. They're all going to take an unrealized loss. just like MicroStrategy just reported. So I personally do think Bitcoin heading towards the 50 MA on the weekly will be a fantastic time to trim some of the Bitcoin miners if you still hold them. De-risk a little bit if they're a heavyweight in your portfolio. Manage risk. Thanks as always for watching, guys. Hopefully we have a fantastic 2026. In the blink of an eye, the next halving is going to come, and I think we'll be very glad that we loaded up throughout 2026, took advantage of some great prices, took advantage while Bitcoin is not at all-time highs. While there's still fear out there, that's always the prime time to buy. Thanks again for watching, guys. I appreciate you, and I'll see you next time.